Just how do you approach tomorrow, given the deficit that you guys are facing, knowing that, Judge said yesterday you guys have done this before? Do you just...
Yeah, I mean, we approach it like we have really all season, but even more specifically, the last 6-8 weeks where, we feel like we've been playing with a lot on the line every single day. And, we'll go into our, hitters meeting, and it's about win today, period. And not getting ahead of that and even keeping it smaller than that. It's about going up and, trying to win every pitch and, keep it small, keep it simple, and know that, you go out and win a ball game tomorrow. Now, that's as far as you go. And that's how we'll look at it, and I know that's how our guys will be.
Other questions for Aaron? Peter?
Aaron, just what's the level of confidence in Carlos Rodon giving him the ball in this spot?
Yeah, a ton. He's been obviously one of our horses this year. He's had a great year. And anytime we give him the ball, we feel like we have an excellent chance to win. And that'll be the same tomorrow. He'll be ready to roll and hopefully get us off to a good start.
And then Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is obviously having a good start to this series. Just what are the challenges he presents, and how do you kind of navigate him from here?
Yeah, obviously he's a guy that hits the ball incredibly hard, has a good idea of the strike zone, has power when he gets kind of in that mode too a little bit. And, obviously he's hit a couple balls out of the ballpark, but also shown his kind of bat-to-ball skills where he can kind of spray it around the yard too. So, he's certainly hurt us so far, and hopefully we can contain that a little bit tomorrow.
Ron, up front to your right.
You had said Thursday you felt more anxious going into that game than any other just because of your feelings of how good you thought this team was. Is it exactly the same going into tomorrow? Any less because you're...
No, it's not tomorrow yet, so I don't know. Look, every day is different. But the postseason always comes with excitement, angst, anticipation, nerves, all that. And I'm sure that'll, be no different tomorrow as it was yesterday, as it was the day before. So, at the end of the day, it's trying to prepare the best you can to be ready to go win a ball game, and a lot of confidence in our guys.
I mean, the even disposition, did you acquire that as a player, or was that something you had to learn as a manager?
I don't know. It's the gig. Sports. It's high stakes, major league sports. It's like, usually you're playing with a lot on the line. You're playing for a lot. You're playing against, especially this time of year, another great opponent. So, you're certainly going realizing anything can happen, and your job is to prepare the best you can and go out there and try and be your best. And, that's been the story of my life.
Go to Greg against the wall.
You talked last night about how it can feel like the world is caving in, down 0-2. How do you get guys to avoid feeling like that tomorrow?
I didn't talk about us feeling that way. I mean, that's the world around you that happens when you lose a playoff game, you win one. It's the run of emotions, and the challenge is always trying to stay off that roller coaster as best you can, and you got to be able to do that as a player. We're human. You feel things. It sucks when you lose. It's exciting when you win, and you try and absorb that, but you got to keep moving. That's what the regular season is. That's what 162 is, and that's certainly what the playoffs is when it gets ramped up, and the reaction can be after every game so exciting or so deflating. You got a job to do, and that next play, that next pitch, that next game becomes the most important thing, and that's where you got to keep your focus.
Do you want guys to kind of get away, like unplug today, or how is it different?
Everyone's different. Like, we're open today just to, obviously some guys will come in for treatment. A couple guys need to throw, and guys will move around. But most of the guys will treat it like an off day to kind of, reset, give your mind a blow, give your body a blow, but that looks a lot of different ways for everyone.
About 6 rows back on your right, Anthony.
When you look over in the other dugout, there's Don Mattingly. I don't know what kind of relationship you've had with him, but how is he perceived by you, Yankee family, and in baseball in general?
The utmost respect. When I played here, he was kind of transitioning into getting back into coaching and stuff, so I got to be around Donnie a little bit then. And then, obviously managing against him being in the other dugout, was one of my favorite players in the 80s when I was, growing up, and a guy that I loved watching. So just a guy that's, turned into kind of a baseball lifer was obviously a great player and now has been an outstanding manager and coach, and certainly across even different generations, is one of those guys that has the utmost respect from so many people. Just who he is, the way he treats people. You'd be hard-pressed to find a bad word about Donnie.
Far back in the middle, Hazel.
Aaron, just following up on the challenges of facing Vladdy, you've watched him since he debuted as a 20-year-old. What area or what facet of his game have you seen the biggest improvement or growth in his development?
I don't know. I mean, because it seemed like as soon as he debuted, he was such a polished. Obviously, you understand the ability to hit the ball hard and the bat speed and the presence he has in the batter's box. But I thought even right away had a real good knowledge of the strike zone, controlled the zone really well. I think, kind of the all-around player, though, that he's also become. Came up kind of as a third baseman, transitioned to first base where, he's really athletic over there. He kind of impacts the game on that side of the ball. You don't think of him necessarily as a speed guy yet. He'll leg out infield hits. He's going to press you on the bases. He's going to be super aggressive, sometimes even over aggressive. He'll give you something out there, but he's just a really well-rounded. And I think now, having re-signed, kind of really cemented himself as kind of the face and leader of that organization. And certainly a guy we have a ton of respect for that's hurt us over the years. But just a well-rounded, polished player.
Third row on your right, Aaron.
Aaron, Trent's kind of hit a rough patch of the plate here, and throughout his career, he's kind of struggled in the postseason. Can you just sense any frustration from him for not being able to get going on the stage, or how do you kind of help him navigate the stretch here?
Didn't he have a huge postseason against the Mets a couple years ago?
Just for his career, I think he's like 160-something at the plate.
That's the nature of the playoffs and small sample. I trust Trent Grisham and his at-bat quality. We faced a couple of tough pitchers. Savage yesterday was different. That was one of those outings, I still think he threw out a hit yesterday. It's just a few games. Again, and we've had some tough matchups in there. Where he's faced a couple of tough lefties. I trust the at bat. He's gonna not get overwhelmed by a situation. He's gonna throw a good at bat on you. He's gonna have the ability every time he walks up there to get on base and the threat of leaving the ballpark. So, we played 6 games, and I trust the at bat.
One row behind the last, Jorge, and then Dan.
Aaron, with your Savage yesterday, Cam the other day, down the stretch, the Mets went to young guys down for big games, the Red Sox. Why do you think young guys are coming up so quickly and having so much success at this level in big games?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, you even watch these playoff games and see the amount of, We've all, I think, marveled to some degree at the stuff that these pitchers have over the last 5, 7, 8, 10 years, right? I think even more so even this year, feels like it's even gone to another level. You turn on every game and it's this guy's throwing a 99-mile-an-hour cutter. This guy's got a 95-mile-an-hour split or whatever. And then these young guys, I don't know if it's, with with what they're able to do now with, I think, optimizing pitchers with the high-speed cameras, with grips and what a ball does and how an individual pitcher's, body composition works to kind of optimize them with what they should be throwing and can be throwing. I think you're seeing that probably at a younger age, maybe in the high school, college ranks, coming up obviously through the minor leagues. It's remarkable the amount of young, impactful people that come up and right away, you can trust in big situations.
Second row on your right, Dan.
Aaron, are you considering any lineup changes for tomorrow?
We'll see. I mean, yes, but it could be the exact same too. That's something I'll kind of work through here the rest of the day, and try to have my decision by this evening, where I'll send it out. But could be one or two, but it could very well be the same too.
When you do consider that, how much is Shane Bieber a factor in that, or just the situation? Do you look at or how much do you look at the individual matchups of who's going up against you tomorrow?
Well, yeah, Shane Bieber. That is the thought. We're going up against Shane Bieber, so that's how I'm going to formulate, the lineup. Shane's been a reverse this year, been kind of both throughout his career, more of a neutral guy. But then you also have some consideration to what they have in the bullpen. So how you space things out a little bit, but it starts with the opposing starter.
Up front on your left, Peter.
I was going to ask you about Bieber as well. Just from what you've seen of him since he's come back from the surgery, how does he compare maybe to when you saw him the last time in the playoffs?
Similar. Yeah. I think he's thrown the ball well. Looks like his fastball's in a good place. He's going to throw the curveball, the cutter, the slider. So he looks like Bieber to me. I know it obviously a long road back for him, and good pickup by the Blue Jays and being able to get him and be able to insert him into their rotation. He'll be a challenge for us.
Two last ones. Ron up front on your right.
You've talked about how during the season protecting the relievers so they're ready for a heavier workload in the postseason. Do you think now as the postseason is stretched to needing 11, 13 wins, that positioning your team to be in prime position in October, if not takes precedence over trying to get every last win in the regular season, it's always on your mind?
I'm not sure exactly what you asked.
Are you always, throughout the season, keeping an eye of being positioned and healthy for the postseason, as opposed to maybe 30 years ago, where piling up as many regular season wins as possible?
Oh, yeah. I never look at it as positioning myself for the postseason. Like, I think when you start assuming you're going to be in the postseason, you're in trouble. So I look at it as, yeah, we're trying to play an extra month of the season, and you want those guys in a good position. So at the end of the day, you have to protect these guys. As much as the bullpen's used, you've got to, because in the end, it's tough to win big when you have key guys in the bullpen that have fallen off. And I think you can do that if you get too aggressive with them during the regular season. There's certainly times when you have to be. But I think you got to be mindful of both of it, but not so much in saying I'm preserving them for the. I mean, you're trying to, I know in our case, like this year, you're trying to go out and, win the division and do all those things. So, but you're also you got to look out for these guys too. They can't go out there 80 times, or they're going to break typically, or they're not going to be at their best. And then, where are you? So, to be a successful team, to win a division, you got to get contributions from a lot of people down there. And everything's different. You may look at a you maybe just look at the schedule and say, oh, this guy's thrown, 2 days out of 5. Well, it might be a time of the year where he's a little beat up too, like good enough to pitch and good, but you're also picking spots to where, hey, I got to be a little careful with this guy. He needs a few extra in this little stretch of the season. So that's not always said or known necessarily because the guy's not hurt, but those things pop up throughout the course of a season too.
We'll finish up with Shy, the fourth row on your left.
Aaron, earlier you were mentioning riding the emotion or not riding the emotional roller coaster. I'm just wondering, from a mental standpoint, can you describe the transition that players have to go through where in this regular season there's always another game, there's always a tomorrow, to suddenly get to the postseason and every game means so much and there may not necessarily be a tomorrow?
Well, hopefully it's not a huge transition. I mean, you should be playing every game, A regular season game obviously doesn't take on the same meaning and importance of a postseason, but that should never impact you as a player. I mean, whether you're going out there almost in some ways a spring training game to a regular season game, for an individual player, you should be putting absolutely everything in that being successful. Nothing should really change. Every game should be big and important. So I think one of the learned skills that or acquired or born with, whatever, being a major league athlete is you got to be able to withstand and handle success and failure over the long haul if you're going to have a career at this and a sustained career at this. And that's a challenge, and that's sometimes hard, and that's what the really good ones are good at.